and the rest of you who are on audio, welcome to the call. Many of you are slowly joining into the call, but yes, today I have an interesting question, and let me read it so that what I sent to you is not something I make an error, right? It says that does enlightenment lead to low self-esteem, as the process of enlightenment leads to the complete shedding of the notion of the self? A very interesting question was asked to me. Does enlightenment lead to low self-esteem? Would anybody like to answer this question? Because you are shedding yourself. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm nothing. So therefore, does enlightenment lead to low self-esteem? Anybody would like to take this question?
Shivoham, pranam Guruji. Shivoham,
Shivoham, Kiran.
pranam Guruji.
Pranam, bolo Kiran, what is your view?
My view is enlightenment does not lead to low esteem. Rather, it is just the reverse of it. It
Why?
leads to high esteem, because enlightened person realizes that he is not the body, mind, ego, but a divine soul.
So therefore,
Therefore, enlightenment does not lead us to low esteem.
very good. Your answer is excellent. But why does it reverse? For what reason?
Pardon, I could not understand.
Why do you say it is on the contrary, it is reverse? You said, why do you say that?
Why it will take us to low esteem when we are going on the path of enlightenment?
So you gave
We
a
are
very
realizing the truth of life.
You gave a very good understanding that in fact it is the reverse. You told like that, right?
Yes.
Apnika, why did you say it is reverse? Is my question to you.
Because enlightened person realizes that he is the soul.
So, therefore, your mind is stopping you from giving the right answer. You know the right answer, but your mind is stopping you from giving the right answer. It's on the tip of your tongue. Okay, anybody wants to finish the answer? Shivoham, yes, Girish.
For an enlightened person,
Yeah.
there is no I, you, or the world.
Correct.
So the question of pride or self-esteem does not arise. So the question of lower self-esteem due to enlightenment also doesn't arise. Because the avidya goes and he knows what he is. That's why the question of
Low self-esteem does not arise. Good.
low self-esteem does not arise there.
This is called answer by negation. Your answer in spiritual terms is called answer by negation. And answer of Kiran is answer by Viveka. So she gave Viveka, you gave negation. Anybody else wants to try before I give you my view?
Yeah, Shivoham here.
Shivoham, Rajendra.
I want to say that when a person is on the path of enlightenment, he is very much clear about Neti Neti Tattvamasi. Then there is no question of low esteem.
Why?
Because he ceases to be body, mind, and ego. And when he or she ceases to be body, mind, and ego.
Esteem, what you're saying, esteem does not matter. Low esteem,
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It disappears. I mean, there is no question at all.
Good, very good answer. So only a person who is on the path can give the answer like this. So obviously you are on the grid. Yesterday we spoke on the grid. Only if you are on the grid can you give answer like this. Because you experience that. Otherwise you cannot give answer like this.
Thank you.
Okay, Shivoham. Anybody else wants to give one more try?
So can I
Yes,
speak
Sudhir?
something?
Yeah,
I'm sorry I joined a bit late, so there was some connection problem. But I
you
believe
know
the question is about self-esteem. Can you please repeat the question once? I can take a sense now.
Why does an enlightened person, is it true that an enlightened person can develop low self-esteem because he sheds his name, his fame, and sheds everything. So can does enlightenment lead to low self-esteem as the process leads to the complete shedding of the notion of the self?
Sir, that's exactly fine. My understanding was correct. So my view would be, sir, that once a person becomes enlightened, I would rather look at it in this way that I know that I am a diamond. If somebody else treats me like a stone, well, that's your fault, not my fault. So it's not that I will be having low esteem. It's possibly you don't know who I am, or rather, because I have realized my truth. So I am like a diamond. If you think I'm a stone, well, that's your fault. I'm sorry about it. So, but that will not lower down the value of the diamond if the other person is not a good jeweler.
Okay, good. So what you're saying is you value yourself and you respect yourself in high self-esteem. So there is no worry
Yes,
about
because
what.
I am God. I don't give myself that self-esteem because I'm Sudeep. That is today. But
Now-
I realize I'm God. If you cannot realize God, that's your fault, not my fault.
Now you brought the last word out. Kiran, this is the word which was at the tip of your tongue, Kiran. You did not use this word. You did not have to have low self-esteem because when you realize Aham Brahmasmi, when you realize Aham Brahmasmi, that is not low self-esteem. That is the highest self-esteem. There can be no higher esteem than Shivoham. It means, see, enlightenment, my dear friends, has got two things to understand, two things to realize. One, the first realization, I am nothing. And the second realization, I am everything. So there's a very high understanding of this, and only a person who goes deep in this will realize. Because when you realize, I am nothing, but when I am nothing, what am I? I am a manifestation of God. I am an instrument of God. You don't say I am God. No, that is ego. You don't use the term I am God, but you say I am not. Only God is.
I am nothing.
So Kiran, what did you remember? Kiran, you went and stopped at the tip of your tongue. You said on the river, you said it is, in fact, it is on the contrary, the reverse is true. Remember you said that?
Yes.
So that is what the reverse is this. When you say I am nothing, the reverse is I am nothing, but I am everything. Because I am nothing, I am everything. Abhi, what will an ordinary person understand? What will somebody who is not on the path of enlightenment understand? That person can't understand anything. What you people are talking. What you people are talking, I am nothing, I am everything. How can you be nothing and then how can you be everything? Correct?
Thank you.
So there's a very interesting question. So some of these questions come to me from social media and people request me to answer it on this call. So they're very interesting questions sometimes. And I share because these questions are profound questions, very enlightening questions. And so I don't want to deprive you from such question answers. So with that note, Administrator, can we start? Rajendra, you want to start by saying something, Rajendra? Rajendra, your time.
Yeah, Shivam,
Sure, bolo.
in fact, what happened few days back, that my wife informed me that her brother bought BMW worth rupees 90 lakhs. And I immediately said to her that, okay, good, very good. Now, I was caught by Maya after few minutes, because what happened in the year 2009 or 2010, that he joined me in his business and he betrayed me financially. And okay, I forgave him. I forgotten everything. Everything happened after that. But then this time, before few days, when I heard about, see, he has bought a big flat also. There are two brother-in-laws, and they both bought 4 to 5 BHK flat also. And then recently, in few days back, he bought BMW worth 90 lakhs. And my wife told me that आप उसको message भेज देना, you send a message of congratulating him, you know. And I was thinking, and I found myself caught by Maya. I said to God कि मेरे पास कर्जा है जो मैं उतार नहीं सकता हूँ, थोड़ा थोड़ा करके, या तो फिर वो इंटरेस्ट ही बढ़ता जाता है। मेरे पास खुद का घर नहीं है, और लोगों ने जो मेरे साथ गलत किया है वो लोग को कार मिल रही है, BMW कार। एंड I was sad for some time. I am never jealous, but I was sad for some time. ऐसा क्यों? You know, like that. And परसों जब मैं शेयर करने वाला था इसके बारे में, but समय नहीं था. There was no time left. And I said to you that I will share it. I ask about it tomorrow. But the next day morning, when I was doing the Dhyan Yoga, when I was in the Dhyan Yoga, I got a clear answer, 3-point answer. 1 point, that you have got bhakti. I am happy and I am with you. That's all. And I was so cool and calm here. I mean, I have forgotten everything. I am very happy where I am. This is what I wanted to share.
No, it's very good that you have this approach. Let me tell you one thing. What is a non-spiritual person? What would have happened? If you are not spiritual, then there would be jealousy. If you are not spiritual, then you would not understand the law of karma. If you are not spiritual, you would think that that is happiness. But do you realize that, point one, you don't know where they have bought this from, whether they have taken a karza and bought it. You don't know whether it is how much EMI. No, you are not even bothered to know. You don't even need to know. But the
Yes.
point is, BMW does not equal to happiness.
Yes.
Number one. Point number two, I have not got own house of my own, because somebody asked me why you don't have own house here, there, everywhere you're traveling. Why don't you have own house everywhere, every place you go? Why can't you make your own house? You have the money. I say it is much better to pay 10,000 rupees a day than to spend 10 crores for a house, because it's much a more economic sense. And in the 10,000 rupees a day, you get free housekeeping. They will do jhadu poch also, they will do in the room and they keep. So what I'm saying is, it hardly matters whether you stay in the house which belongs to you or you stay in a house which belongs to somebody else. You know, there's a beautiful quote. I don't know if you heard this quote, but I heard this many years back. They say, fools build houses. Fools build houses. Wise men live in them. The point is, a man who has built a very big house doesn't have naseeb of living in that house because he wants rent from that house. Another man who is not so rich, he pays little money and he goes lives in a beautiful house by paying money to fulfill the greed of that man who wants money. So my Rajendra, good you shared, is good. And remember this, ultimately, Rajendra, I'm adding to your point, neither the house nor the BMW will go with you, me, or your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
That is the reality of life.
Yes.
And tomorrow, if the BMW has a small scratch or accident, they will be crying for many days. And we don't have to worry, because the more and more we have these possessions, the more and more we become unhappy. Our goal is not possessions. Our goal is happiness.
Yes.
Our goal is peace. Our goal is God. Our goal is realization.
Yes.
And very few people understand this. Those who don't understand, you're talking about one BMW. Oh, there are people who have got 100 cars.
Yes.
They have 100 cars. I'll tell you, people who have got 100 cars, Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes, every damn car in the world. But are they happy? Then what is the use? You have 100 cars, but you have no sleep. You have 100 cars, but you have no peace of mind. Then what is the use of having 100 cars? So good sharing. I appreciate your sharing. And let's just go to the next question. Thank you. Thank you, Rajendra.
Thank you.
Girish.
Shivoham,
Girish.
in avidya, the notion of I is localized with ego. Once a person gets enlightened, the notion of I becomes all pervading. So the question of pride does not arise, or self-esteem does not arise,
Correct.
because there is no self, or there is no world or you, first person, second person, or third person. Everything is me, everything is I.
Correct.
This is the understanding.
No,
Is
absolutely
correct?
But
Explain it, sir.
while you say that, no, Girish, is it not also the feeling of Aham Brahmasmi is there?
Correct.
That is not pride, but that is Ananda, no? That
Anand,
gives deep,
correct.
that is a deep, that is Satchit Anand. It's not pride. Pride again, why will we get pride? When there is no pride comes only when we compare.
Yes,
That's how
correct.
Rajendra gave an example. I have a Mercedes, you don't have Mercedes, I have a Maruti, you have BMW. Then only pride comes in the picture. When we all are one, when everything is the divine, then where is the pride? There is no pride involved at all. But there is a state of Ananda. Ananda, Satchit Ananda, सत के चित्त में रहना हमें, मिथ्य को दूर हमें करना, सत्य के चित्त में रहना है. Why I'm telling you? Because we need this Ananda. So Rajendra, these songs will help, right, Rajendra? When we say Ananda, Satchit Ananda, सत्य के चित्त में रहना हमें, मिथ्य को दूर हमें करना, सत्य के चित्त में रहना है. But we are not able to remain in the Satchit Anand. Because what Girish says, as long as you give up the I, Girish, but giving up that I is a problem. You're not able to give up that I, na. The moment that I comes back, the mind brings me in the picture, me, M-E. Me, mind, ego. It brings it back in the picture. Then if we are not careful, what happens? Again, we sink down, we fall, we become sad sometimes. Correct? Sometimes the body makes you tired. What can you do? Not easy. Today I drove to attend a court case. Suddenly they told me I have to drive 7 hours in the morning at 4 o'clock. I came 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock, 7 hours drive without even stopping 1 minute, because it was so sometimes the body gets tired. When the body gets tired, so all these affect the Jivatma. But when you reach that state of Satchit Anand, it is only momentary. Then you come out of it. There will be the times. There will be those times where you are. A lot of people ask me, no, when you have enlightenment, then how? Then there is no problem. Of course, there is a problem. Because of the body, because of the mind, because of the ego, they are alive. Body is not dead. Mind is not dead. Ego is still alive. So we have transcended the ego. But a lot of people, I told you once, I went to Bihar School of Yoga, Swami Niranjananand Swami, at that time when I was in my Talash. And he said, you cannot annihilate the ego. Very good words. He was a very wise man. He said, you cannot annihilate the ego. You have to transcend the ego. Good, very interesting. So next question, please. Jyotri, as usual, has some interesting questions. And the question of Jyotri is this. Why people fear from darkness? Because fear is false expectation appearing real. We fear darkness. Why? Because we can't see. There is avidya. Just now Girish told you, avidya. What is darkness? Darkness is avidya. Because in darkness, you don't know tiger is there or lion is there or nobody is there. Darkness itself causes fear. Because that is why we need enlightenment. Why we talk about switching on the light. Because in the light, there is no darkness. In the light, we can see everything. Therefore, in the darkness, we can't see. That's why we become fearful. Therefore, we talk about overcoming the darkness of ignorance. Even though there is no darkness, we call avidya as we call darkness. From last 2000 years, the spiritual saints, the swamis, the rishis, they call avidya. You know what they say? Jyotri, they say, Ghor avidya, Ghor avidya के कारण दुख सहना, अविद्या में जो भी डूबता है मुसीबतों में वो दुखी होता है, सच का एहसास न करता, अविद्या को दूर है करना. They call it घोर अविद्या. They call it घोर अविद्या, deep dark ignorance. So that's why people are scared of darkness. The moment you on the light, nothing is there, but the fear is gone. The moment you on the light, nothing appears. Not that the tiger disappears. No, the darkness disappears. So the darkness itself causes us fear. Next question. Komal. Komal, you have a question? You want to ask me or should I read out? I can read a question. So Komal is asking, being on spiritual path, how to deal with a person who thinks they are only right and whatever they say is only right. Komal, this is very common, no, Komal. See, in the samsar, which person in this Zoom call doesn't know somebody who thinks they're always right? In everybody's house, there is such a person living. In not a single house, the people who are in this call, I don't think there's a single home where there is somebody who doesn't think they are right. In my house also there is. In your house also there is. So, when there are people like this who think they are always right, they think they know everything. They think they are Gyanis. They think they are already enlightened before Buddha. And they are more. So what do we do with such people? You don't try to convince them. Because if you try to convince them, there will be war. There will be fight. You know. So there's a very nice story. So this is a story you should read. You should read a book. If you're interested in knowing this, there's a beautiful book by Dale Carnegie. I read this about 30 years back, not spirituality. How to win friends and influence people. So what he says, one day he was having dinner. And he was having dinner and somebody was having dinner with him and he was sitting along with his assistant. And the person who was having dinner told him, Edison invented the telephone. So now Edison did not invent the telephone. It was Graham Bell. And Dale Carnegie knew that. But when the dinner was going on, he did not correct the person. He did not tell the person, hello, Mr. Edison did not invent telephone. Graham Bell did. He did not tell. Then after dinner, his assistant asked him, sir, why, sir, you did not tell that man? He was talking like he knew everything. He knows everything. He was telling he's the most intelligent man. And he told Edison invented telephone and you kept quiet. Then Dale Carnegie said, see, if I had told this, I would have lost a friend. By telling that argument, I would have lost a friend. I prefer to keep my friend and lose the argument. So sometimes you may win the argument, but you may lose the friend. Sometimes you lose the argument, but you win a friend. So in spirituality, you don't have to listen to everything that people say. But what's the point, Komal? If somebody is there, they keep on saying they are right, you know they are wrong. What will you do by arguing with them? You'll only spoil your relationship with them and lose your peace of mind. So what should you do? Learn to accept it. Correct. Delhi is in the south and Bombay is in the north. Correct. Kerala is in Saudi Arabia and Dubai is in India. Correct. So when you are in that attitude, when you're not in an argumentative attitude, then you are peaceful, no? You know the answer, but that person thinks they know everything. That person doesn't want to be corrected. Am I right, Komal? Does that person want to be corrected? Does that person want to be corrected or they don't want to be corrected? Then what's the use? What is the use? So learn to be peaceful. What is our goal? Our goal is Ananda. Our goal is peace. I'm not telling you to be this is sometimes in the modern world, it's called diplomacy. But in spirituality, we don't call it diplomacy. We call it peace. Okay, you know everything. Now you know everything. God bless you. No problem. Just let them be happy in their ignorance. That's why they call ignorance is bliss. People, some of these people, what you call ignorance is bliss. Next question. Jyotri has another question. And the question of Jyotri is, I realize that I am the divine soul, yet you know about the English words. I have to use it while saying and writing. I am this is my house. I love my mother. Does it matter? Of course it matters. So you try your best to to not say what is spiritually wrong. For example, till now you say, I am Jyotri, I am Jyotri, I am Jyotri. Correct? You don't say, I am Jyotri from today onwards. You say, my name is Jyotri. So the moment you are spiritually correct, when your words are spiritually correct, then you evolve on that journey. Right? Instead of saying, this house is mine, you say, this house is supposed to belong to me. This house is supposed to belong to me. Right? Or I am told this house is mine. Or this house is in my name. You change the words, which makes it correct. Or God has blessed me, God has blessed this house to be in my name. It is very important for us not to verbalize ignorance. If we keep on verbalizing, suppose I keep on saying, I am Ashok Chotwani, I am Ashok Chotwani, then you will never realize I am not Ashok Chotwani. Therefore, you must not say that. You must try your best to say, suppose you say, this is my son, this is my son, this is my son. You keep on saying, this is my son. Then means you're building attachment. So this child of God, this child of God was given birth from this womb. Of course, you can't say such a long sentence, but you find a way to say what is spiritually correct, and they get away from the incorrect terminologies which we are so used to say. For example, just to tell you, all of you, everybody says good morning, good morning. What do you say? Good morning. Why you say good morning? Huh? By saying good morning will become good. But you can say Shivoham. By saying Shivoham, for example, anybody says good morning, say Shivoham. They'll ask you what's the meaning. Explain. I see God in you. Somebody says good night, you say Shivoham. Somebody says God bless you, say Shivoham. You try to use the word Shivoham in your greetings, in your community. You pick the phone and you say, hello. Huh? Hello. Yeah, what's the meaning? Hello. What's the meaning? No meaning. From tomorrow you pick the phone and say, Shivoham. That's the way to start. That's the way for you to get to the right speech. Get forward. Bridget, you're saying good morning? Bonjour. No, bonjour. From now, somebody phone you say Shivoham. They ask you, what's the meaning? What's the meaning Shivoham? You explain. Shivoham means I see the divine in you. You are not the voice. You are the voice of God. Say. It will take 1 or 2 minutes, but it will help you and that person, everybody. Thank you. Any more questions?
Yes, Gaurav.
Gaurav, why is everybody sending the question typed? I don't know. Why they are not asking the question? Everybody likes to type. Okay, Gaurav, how could we know that we are actually happy, as you're going to be happy in future by the work we are doing today? What do you mean? How do we know that we are actually happy? Happiness is a state of being. It's just like me asking you, how do you know that you are Gaurav? I know I am Gaurav. Like that, you know you are happy. I can't ask Leena. Leena, how do you know you are Leena? Of course I know I am Leena. What is there to know? I am Leena. I am Leena. I know I am Leena. No. So my dear Gaurav, how could we know that we are actually happy? Because we feel happy. That's how we know we are happy. Going to be happy? No. Nobody knows they are going to be happy. You may say you're going to be happy tomorrow, but suppose the earthquake next minute. Suppose that everything collapses in 1 minute. Suppose the next 30 seconds I get heart attack. How I'll be happy tomorrow? There is no going to be happy in the future by the work you are doing today. No. You do the work today without any expectation of happiness. You do the work only as an offering to the divine. That is how you must do the work. Any more questions?
Saying namaste is also good instead of hello, says Rajan.
Yes, namaste is also good, Rajan, provided you understand the meaning of namaste. No? Rajan, please come and explain to me, Rajan, what do you understand by namaste? Rajan, you know? Is Rajan on the line or is only on words? Text. Are you there,
Yes,
Rajan?
yes.
Please tell me what you mean. What do you understand by namaste, Rajan?
Namate. Not me, but you. You are important for me.
No, but what is the meaning of namaste?
Namate. No, 3 syllables. Na, not ma.
Huh?
Self, pay you. Namate. Namaste.
Oh, very good.
You are important.
Today you have
You
taught
are
me
important.
something.
What can I
Namaste.
do for
I
you?
do not know this namaste means like that. Did anybody know? Anybody knew that? Sudeep, you knew this
Please, and-
namaste. He's saying
please,
namaste,
Sanskrit.
not me, you. But
But
Rajan, let me
you.
make one small correction, Rajan.
Okay.
Namaste is okay what you're saying, but when we do this, no, Rajan. When we do this, what does it mean, Rajan? What's the meaning?
I am bowing in front of you.
Ah. So in that namaste, that bowing word does not have to come. Namaste. I like what you said. Very good. Not not me. Te.
But
You.
But you.
But the act of namaste is more than the word of namaste. So when you
Yes,
showed your hands
yes.
like this and you bow down to somebody,
Uh,
it means, what does it mean? What does it mean, Rajan?
You are important for me.
No,
I am
no,
bowing in front of you.
no. What does the bowing mean?
You are God.
Ah, now you're coming with the right answer. Not important to me, not like that. I bow down to the God that is you. I don't bow down to the physical you. I bow down to the divine, to the Lord that is you. I am not bowing down to your yellow orange t-shirt, or I'm not bowing down to the Rajan, Mr. Rajan, smart looking Mr. Rajan. No. I am bowing down to the divine, to the Almighty that is in you. Okay? And what Nishu is saying, some people also say this. Namaste means the divine in me bows down to the divine in you. Some people even say like that. Namaste means the divine in me bows down to the divine in you. Some people even say it like that. So, my dear friends, this was an interesting session of 30 minutes. And today we realized that enlightenment does not create low self-esteem. Enlightenment creates ananda. In fact, there is no question of esteem. We should not say that it creates high self-esteem. It's wrong to say that. But enlightenment liberates you from the ego and unites you to the one omnipresent divine power. And you liberate yourself from the wave that is splashing again and again. And you unite yourself with the ocean. You liberate yourself from the body, which you are not. And you unite with the soul, which you are. The Atma becomes one with the Paramatma. So, my dear friends, remember this journey. This week we are going to be talking on the enlightenment grid, right? So, I want you all to pay attention to this enlightenment grid. So, it's very, very important that we evolve, that we grow on this path, and we reach that ultimate goal of liberation and unification. I was just going to end the call, but I saw some new comment coming from the administrator. It's a newcomer, so we will give the benefit to the newcomer, Rakesh J. I am a 24-year-old. While I could feel the higher consciousness, all encompassing fabric that we or anything that here exists, I feel stuck in this body. I am unable to translate the realization into the day-to-day transactions that happen around me. Mainly people. I would love to get some insights to cruise through the blockage. So Rakesh, the first thing to tell you is please attend this session every day at 8, because in 1 minute I can't give you all the answers. But all those who are in this call, they're all masters, and they all will give such answers right from the opening question. So Rakesh, the quick answer to you is, while you feel that pure consciousness, right, you feel stuck because you are only feeling it. You are not realizing it. There's a difference between feeling and realizing. Realization is needed. When you are stuck in this body, on this call, you will learn the words Neti, Neti. I am not the body, I am not the mind. Tattvamasi, I am the divine soul. So, in a day-to-day actions, transactions, you will be able to attain that state of Sat Chit Anand. I just saw this message from a newcomer on the call, and we love new people joining this call and being a part of this divine session every day at 8. So I look forward to answering these and more questions. Remember, we have to go forward in the enlightenment grid. Like Rajesh said, Rajesh or Rakesh?
Rakesh.
Rakesh. Like Rakesh said, many of us are stuck. Many of us are stuck. And our goal of enlightenment is to get unstuck, to be free, to be liberated. Right? And I look forward to answering more of these questions and to have your divine presence tomorrow. I bow down to you. Namaste. Not me, you. Namaste. the divine in me bows down to the divine in all of you. And with that, let us say Shivoham, Shivoham. I bow down to thee. Thank you. See you tomorrow.